Have you ever been hated for something just because you were born? I've been paying for my mom's reputation since I was 3 years old. Growing up in Riverside was like wearing a scarlet letter I never earned, stitched permanently into my skin for everyone to see. My mother was the town drunk, a cautionary tale parents whispered to their children. Every weekend, she'd stumble down Main Street screaming at invisible enemies, cursing at streetlights, and arguing with parked cars. I'd wake up Saturday mornings to phone calls from neighbors complaining she'd passed out in their gardens again. By Monday, everyone would stare at me like I carried her shame in my DNA. Mrs. Peterson, my kindergarten teacher with her perfectly curled gray hair and disapproving frown, would make me sit alone during snack time, while other children gathered in their happy circle. Bad apples don't fall far from the tree, she'd whisper to other teachers just loud enough for me to hear. When I'd raise my hand eagerly to answer questions, she'd pretend not to see me, looking right through me as if I were invisible. At recess, kids would scatter like frightened birds when I approached. Their parents had warned them, stay away from that Wilson child. Trouble runs in families. I'd eat lunch alone at the corner table, methodically chewing my peanut butter sandwich while watching other kids share cookies and laugh about sleepovers I'd never be invited to. The worst part was grocery shopping with my grandmother, a saint who'd taken me in when my mother proved incapable. Store clerks would follow us around like amateur detectives, convinced I was going to steal something just because of the Wilson name. When candy went missing from the checkout counter, guess who got blamed without question? They'd search my pockets with rough hands while other customers stared and shook their heads knowingly. Mr. Rodriguez, the school counselor, would pull me aside weekly for check-ins. How are things at home, really? He'd ask, with that pitying look that made my stomach turn. When I truthfully said everything was fine living with grandma, he'd write lengthy notes in my file like he was documenting evidence for some future catastrophe. That humiliating day in 7th grade, when Emily Morrison's expensive mountain bike got stolen, Officer Peterson came straight to our house before investigating anyone else. Where were you yesterday after school? He demanded, his hand resting on his belt like I was already guilty. No evidence, no witnesses, just assumptions built on years of prejudice. When they found the real thief 2 towns over, no one apologized. But that night, watching my grandmother cry at the kitchen table over the unfairness, I made a decision that would change everything. I was done being everyone's cautionary tale. I started documenting everything with methodical precision. Every sideways glance, every whispered comment, every unfair assumption. I recorded conversations, saved cruel text messages, took photos of discriminatory treatment. During high school, I became obsessed with justice. I studied law textbooks instead of fashion magazines, joined mock trial, and won every competition. While classmates partied at bonfires I wasn't invited to anyway, I was building an ironclad case against the system that had failed me. Senior year, when Sarah Chen's laptop went missing, they came for me again like vultures. But this time, I was ready with everything I'd learned. I had alibis, witnesses, timestamps, and security footage. I exposed their pattern of targeting me without evidence in a presentation that left the administration speechless. The real thief? Sarah's boyfriend, selling electronics for drug money. 20 years later, I came back to Riverside as the county's youngest district attorney, my law degree framed and hanging proudly in my office. Guess who's calling my office now? Voices dripping with fake respect, begging me to prosecute their cases. Mrs. Peterson, Mr. Rodriguez, Officer Peterson, all the same people who spent my childhood assuming I'd end up exactly like my mother. The irony is beautiful and satisfying in ways I never imagined. They pay my salary now to deliver the justice they never gave me.